Hey team, it's Baden from Skillest here, and really lucky today to have Chris Ryan from Chris Ryan Golf. And look, Chris is obviously an incredible coach, and he's created a great profile, especially on YouTube. So he's up to 70,000 subscribers now, and we're really lucky to have a chat to him. So how are you, Chris?
I'm fantastic. How good is technology when you can be in Australia and I can be in England and we can just have a little conversation like this?
I know, and as we were just saying before, you know, I'm in one climate and you're very much in the other. You're still trying to get through winter.
We're heading hopefully towards your climate and you're heading towards ours over the next couple of months, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So this is just a great opportunity. We've all probably seen your awesome instructional stuff, but this is a really cool opportunity to maybe dig a little bit deeper and, get into, your personal life and your experiences and why you teach the way you do. But what I'd love to know really is what you do sort of day to day, like who are you teaching and, what does most of, what does your day look like?
So a typical week for me now is 4 days coaching. And then I have 2 days, which are my kind of catching up on emails, admin work, editing, and also filming. So that's a typical week. So for me, 6 days is a normal week and 4 days coaching. Typical clients are just as you'd expect, your average golfer. Typical kind of 18 handicap, some beginners, some elite players. I coach a couple of guys on Challenge Tour. But I like it that way. I like the idea that, a day's coaching can be a brand new beginner you're talking to about how to hold the golf club. Then the next player could be a Challenge Tour player. You're talking about just squeezing that little bit of extra out of their game. And it's just that variety I like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? Being able to, starting with someone who might be playing off 22 and it's like a piece of clay that you can work into something. And then, as you say, having someone who's got a very established golf swing and skills and just maybe tweaking them a little bit. So what do you think, we've all, as coaches, we've all evolved in very different ways and there's so many different coaching styles and methods out there. Where do you think your main influences have come from and why do you teach the way you do it? And how would you sort of describe your philosophy, I suppose?
So I guess, I've never really set out to coach in a certain way. I've never kind of said, right, I'm going to learn this method, I'm going to learn that method. I've just been very much a case of trying to, I guess kind of be, as a coach, a bit of a sponge, just try and take as much information on as I can. And I always feel like my job is almost a bit like a filter. So you kind of get where I sit in the middle, you get the pupil I'm coaching on one side, and you get all the experts who are really pushing the boundaries of learning about what the golf swing is and what it does. And I'm kind of sitting in the middle. So I'm really looking at those guys and, there's some fantastic guys out there, there's scientist guys, the tech guys, and they're really finding out all that really important information. And then it kind of filters through me and it ends up to the pupil just really simple.
Wow.
And that's kind of where I see my job, because sometimes the pupils can go online and they can steal this information, but it doesn't help them because it's numbers, it's science, it's all this kind of stuff. So I think our jobs as coaches is to learn as much as we can learn and then simplify it down so that we can pass that information over in 1 to 2 sentences so the golfer can sort of absorb that and put it into practice.
That's really cool. I'd never really thought of it like that. That's great. And because that's so true, isn't it? Like a lot of the stuff out there, it's just not consumable for the average person. I think as coaches, because we're in it all the time, we use terminology and we're consumed by it all the time. So perhaps we can do that. We can deal with it and consume it. But the average person's almost got no chance. So that's amazing that you think of it like that. I think that's really, really cool. So yeah.
What I realise is that I'm never going to claim that I'm the guy out there doing this research, finding it. Most of the stuff I know I've learned from other coaches. Your people like Sasha McKenzie. The scientist guys, the biomechanic guys, I'm just learning from them. So I owe a lot to them because they've influenced my coaching. But I think sometimes, we as coaches have got to just package it in a different way to pass on to our students.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, I suppose that's a good segue into your YouTube stuff and your online presence, because that's what you do. You're a great communicator. You're able to take messages and probably simplify it in a really, really simple way. So let's talk about your YouTube channel, because it's, you've obviously just done an incredible job with it. You've now got 70,000 subscribers. How long has it taken you to build it to that point?
I think it's probably about 4 years now. I think I kind of uploaded a video maybe 4.5 years ago, but then it was probably another 2 months before I uploaded another video. And so I really had a slow start. And then probably some 3.5, 4 years ago, I kind of, I remember sitting down at home actually, and I put a few videos out there and just sporadically uploaded a few. And I remember sitting there thinking, right, I'm gonna put a schedule in. I'm gonna stick to that schedule, which was a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. And ever since then, I've been pretty religious in that schedule. So it's probably been 3.5 years now to this point of 3 videos every week. Obviously, a lot of topics there. Probably a few that have been recovered.
Oh my God, we need to. I mean, that's a lot of content. That's a lot of content. So over that time, obviously, you would have learned so much about your own teaching and the way to communicate. And so what do you think the great advantages of having an online presence like that is? And what do you think maybe the limitations and the things you'd love to be able to do better would be?
So, I mean, I think the main thing is I started my YouTube channel because I was coaching at the Belfry at the time, and I was doing okay, but I really wanted my diary to be busier. So I'm thinking, well, let's look at what I can do to advertise. And obviously advertising costs money. Whereas YouTube is advertising, but it doesn't really cost money. Well, it costs money in terms of your equipment, your cameras and stuff. So for me, YouTube is really a case of me thinking, well, there's a platform there where I can sort of generate a bit of an audience, so I can just get my name out there. So, my goal was to just get, sounds silly now, but I really wanted every single person who plays this game to know who Chris Ryan is. Now, that's obviously the kind of, you're never going to get there, but that's always what you try to strive towards. And the closer you can get there, the more people that know of you. And I was just hoping that a couple of people who watched some videos who maybe lived relatively close and thought, I just like the way this guy communicates that or talks about it, and they'd come for lessons. And certainly that's happened. I've seen, the diary get busier since YouTube. I've seen, a lot more people reaching out and traveling from different places. I got 2 guys over from Germany tomorrow. So it's really been a great way for me to get my name out there, show what my teaching style is like, and hopefully attract some people in. I think that the limitation is that we're all trying to help these golfers, and when you get past a point, you're up to 70,000, it would be nice to be able to sort of connect with those golfers in some way personally, other than just put a generic video out there. But that's where the challenge becomes, where, it's hard to respond to all the comments, respond to all the emails, respond to all the kind of interaction. But that sort of comes with the territory, doesn't it? I guess the more you appeal to, the harder it is to have that personal touch. Really.
Well, I suppose that's where you can use an incredible platform like Skillest, for example.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Because it's a great way for them. Because I think, I think the difference is with what we do, and I say we as in the kind of YouTube guys, is that I think if you were to say 10 years ago to a golfer, name some golf professionals, you're going to get the kind of the David Ledbetters, you're going to get the Butch Harmons, all those kind of guys, which is fine. And obviously they're still famous. But for some reason, people maybe think they're kind of unattainable. They can't connect with them. They can't, communicate with them. Whereas the sort of new breed of golf professionals are online, people will know of them. It's like, well, actually, I can speak to this guy. I can get some information off him. I can, so we're a little bit more, we're trying to basically be more personable. Actually, you can come and speak to me, and you can have lessons with me, and I'm not £900 for an hour. I'm, reasonably priced. I think that's where we slightly differ, and that's what we've got to try and keep there, really.
Absolutely. And I think probably consequently, the people that are out there creating these great profiles, they are probably the better communicators as well. So you can know that, if I go and see this person, they're going to be able to explain that message to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, I have to try and put myself, and I'm sure you do, in, your average golfer shoes. And if you were an average golfer, 18, 20 handicap, if you're going to go for a golf lesson, that can be quite a daunting experience. Is he going to mess my golf swing up? Am I going to like the guy? And so with YouTube, you sort of can say, well, I feel like I know what this guy's like. I know roughly what I'm going to get. And when they come for a lesson, there's not that awkwardness of what it might be initially. They kind of feel they know you. So it's much more, it's a softer kind of introduction into golf lessons, I think, which is good. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And so in that, so talking about content and online learning and platforms like Skillest, I suppose, is where do you see the future of all this? So, people are using YouTube and Instagram and Facebook almost as their golfing search engines now, aren't they? That's their port of call now, sort of thing. So where do you see it all going in terms of content creation or online learning?
Well, I think we're just touching the surface, aren't we? YouTube's been around for obviously a while now, and it's And when you look at the channels that are the biggest and the amount of followers they've got and subscribers, in terms of the kind of videos social world, golf is still quite small. Yeah. So as a golf industry, we're evolving. I think people are starting to really use these channels a little bit more, and I can only see that going a little bit further. So obviously, Skillest that you kind of set up, it's really easy for people to just, with their mobile phone, take a video of the golf swing, and then they can interact with the coach that they know from Instagram, YouTube, and again, it goes back to the idea of they're interacting with people they feel that they know. But now it doesn't matter whether that person's in Australia, in the UK, in Hong Kong, in America, and you can get that kind of one-on-one golf lesson. And I certainly think it's going to go that way. And kind of exactly where it goes from there is difficult to know. But it's going to be mobile phones, isn't it? It's going to be quick kind of interaction with the coaches, and that's great. And it's great for us coaches, and we can help those golfers around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our dream is that all geographical barriers are just completely broken down, and that you can interact with anyone at any time. And, as we were just talking about, that coaches like you aren't unattainable. We can interact with you, even if it is remotely, by, using a platform like Skillest. Our dream is to facilitate that. That'd be incredible. So, okay, so what we'll do, we'll wrap things up, but what we're going to do, we're going to ask you 3 final questions here that I think are going to help the average student. And one of them just seems like the most obvious one in the world, but I'm a teaching pro like you, and the thing that we see all the time is that 90% of people slice the ball. So if you had to, in a really, really simple way, explain to the average person why they slice the ball, what would you say it is?
So I think with what's out there on YouTube now, I think people kind of know what creates a slice, as in what's happening at impact. Yeah. But they still really struggle to fix that. And I think I would see it as, and this is sort of what I try and do in my challenge, I think we've got to try and educate golfers better, and really start to get them to think differently, because I'll still get people, coming into a lesson for me and saying things like, I'm really struggling with a slice. So I've just tried to narrow my stance. And as a coach, you think that's going to have no effect whatsoever on that slice. So I think golfers they're kind of getting a bit confused. And if we can just educate them into, okay, this is what's happening, they're going to be a lot more focused on looking for that fault. So for me, the biggest reason why a golfer would slice the ball is club face. The club face gets out of position in the golf swing, and then as soon as that club face gets out of position, everything else is a bit of a reaction, a compensation, trying to make that work. But very, very rarely, I'm sure you can agree with this, do you ever get a golfer saying, I'm slicing it, it must be my club face position through the backswing. They always talk about, I'm standing too close, I'm standing too far away, or my grip pressure, and you're just thinking you're searching for the wrong thing. And I think it's our job to say, look, this is what a slice is coming from. These are the things you need to look for, and then they can start to maybe make some progress.
Okay, and so the next question is probably along those lines, but so what is the biggest mistake that the average golfer makes? So when they're trying to improve their game, is it that they're working on the wrong thing, or, they've got, horrible course management when they're out there? What do you think is, the number one problem the average golfer faces when trying to progress their game?
So this isn't going to be a popular answer. So I think, I'm sure you'll agree with it, because you coach, how many golfers can you get to move their body and the club in the correct way? Pretty much most of them. But they can't do it in the swing. And I think the biggest reason that holds people back is maybe that lack of appreciation as to how difficult it is and how much effort it's going to take to change it. I mean, I'll coach golfers and I'll sit down, go through their golf swing on a video and say, well, this isn't right, this isn't right. And you see them jump on the mat and they're kind of almost convinced that they can do it in that next swing. Yeah. And then they can't, and they're a bit like, oh, it didn't work. And you think, really difficult. I think, so for me, it's not so much, once you get past the concept of that, okay, I realize what I've got to do, and you can move and say, I can do that. It's then realizing that it's actually pretty hard graft to do that. And you might have to do some half swings, you might have to go slow speed, you might have to hit some bad shots. And that's the bit that I think holds golfers back. And the reason is because they go and play the weekend. It's like, well, I'm just going to go and do what I did before because I'm playing with my mates. And it's that I just think it's the practice bit that's where people struggle.
100%. I could not agree more. I find myself, when you get up on the mat and you hit a ball and they're like, oh yeah, but you're a natural, you're a talent, you know how to do that. It's like, well, it's taken me 20 years to make it look natural. Yeah, the process is something that's definitely lost on most golfers, I think, unfortunately. So, okay, so now we've just talked about process, so this might be a totally contradictory next question. What will the average person or the average 18 handicapper do tomorrow to improve their game?
Okay, so this would be, I would say this is so this is kind of the first stage in that process. So the process, as we've said, takes a while, but this is really the kind of, I call it the kind of concept stage, where if you're trying to get a golfer to do something, they're not going to do it until they've got it really clear in their mind, they've got the right concept of what they're trying to do. So the first thing I would get a golfer to do, and the great thing with this is you can do this watching this video or in your living room, is just trying to understand the difference in what your wrists are doing from setup through the backswing into impact. Right. And that's a really good thing. So you can easily just take try and get myself in shot here. You can just take your grip on the golf club this way. And I would just get golfers to just appreciate the difference between where setup is, try and look at myself in the video, and where impact is. And if they can just start to figure out that actually their setup and there is impact, where my right wrist is a little bit more bent back, my lead wrist is a little bit more flat, my wrists are a little bit more uncocked than they would be at setup, and just learning how to go from one to the other and starting to get a real feel for what that is. And that would, for me, would be the concept stage, trying to get the golf to realize, okay, there is a difference. This is what it should feel like. And then they can start to maybe introduce the golf club and then move through the golf swing and go from kind of one to the other. But that, for me, would be something that a golf can do now, to just learn how those wrists will change in the golf swing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I suppose the wrists are the club face, aren't they? So if you can control those things, you can get some real club face control.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that golfers lack most, is that club face control. And I think when you get the club face out of position, if the club face out of position, everything else is good. It's not going straight. So if the club face out of position, you've got to get a lot of other things out of position. Then that's when we see the kind of over the top moves, all these kind of things. So yeah, wrists. If you can get the wrists working, you get the club face under control, a lot of good things can happen.
Okay, fantastic, mate. Thanks for that. It's been great chatting to you. So, if you haven't already, everyone go out and subscribe to Chris's YouTube channel, and you can now connect with him on Skillest as well. So if you want to send your swings to Chris, have him analyze them, check those wrist angles, and get them right, you can do that on Skillest as well. So thanks so much for your time, mate. I really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure, and appreciate you reaching out to me.
We'll do it again in the very near future. Thanks a lot, mate.
Definitely. Thanks, mate.